It's great to be here. Thank you to Dunwoody and all of you for being here this morning. This is not really going to be a lecture. This is going to be more of a conversation. So I'm going to ask you guys to participate and ask a bunch of questions, and we'll just kind of work through this together. Is that fair? Okay. So before we start, I'm a bit of a cell phone Nazi, so I'm going to ask you a favor. I'd like you to take out your cell phones, please. People are going, where is this headed here? What are we doing? Okay, so then I'd like you to put them on silent, please. And make a pile of the phones face down in the middle of the table. Here's what's going to happen in the next 45 minutes, okay? You are definitely going to miss a Snapchat update. You will also miss an Instagram, what are those things called? Story, okay? And you might be unfriended on Facebook, but you're going to be fine, okay? So let's just be here together for the next 45 minutes or so and just have a good conversation. You also have a handout at your table, which is maybe a little unusual. Depending on how things go, we may have time this morning to do a little table conversation about a couple of things. I hope we do. It's kind of fun. So that's, I'll ask you to grab that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to share with you some things we're working on in API Group. But this is really designed to be for you and primarily for the current students at Dunwoody. And the reason that I say that is because you are here hopefully getting a great education and building your technical skills and preparing for the workforce. We're going to talk about leadership, and I'm going to give you hopefully a way to think about leadership that maybe is a little different than you thought. And hopefully you'll take something away from this morning that, yes, I need to be very technically competent and have the skills necessary to enter the workforce. But a lot of my success is going to be determined by how I show up every day, which is different than my technical skills. Okay? So, show of hands to get started. How many of you right now think of yourself as a leader? Okay? You guys at that table didn't raise your hand. And there's no right or wrong answer. Now this is going to be like, I'm not going to volunteer and say anything here. Would you be willing to share why you chose not to raise your hand? Why do you hear your definition of a leader? Okay. How about you guys in the back?
Don't really lead anyone.
Okay. So he said, I don't really lead anyone. Right? So what I hope to do this morning is two things. I hope, number one, that every one of you, and I'm going to ask you again, every one of you leaves here today understanding that you are a leader right now, this minute, regardless of your station in life, regardless of your role, title, what kind of car you drive, how much money you make, doesn't matter. Every one of you in the room is a leader right now. Now you have to make the decision as to whether or not you want to embrace that responsibility, but the opportunity is there for you right now. The second thing that I hope to do is give you, or you'll give yourselves, things that you can start doing right now or do more of that will make you a more effective leader in your role right now, today, regardless of your station in life, regardless of how much money you make, what kind of car you drive, all that kind of stuff. Fair enough? Okay. I just need to refer to my notes here just quickly. like to volunteer and answer this question? What is the definition of leadership? Now, you have it in your handouts. I suppose you could turn to your handout and you could read it to me. I didn't really think through that well. But without looking at the handout, definition of leadership, maybe what you thought it was before you came in the room. Yes?
Role model.
Be a role model. Anybody else?
Encourage.
Encourage. Okay? What do you think the definition is? You know, by saying something, you're going to get called on the table. It's like, this is the last time I'm ever coming to one of these. Okay.
I guess having a group of people under you that you lead in any given task.
So I'm going to repeat the answer. Having a group of people under you that you lead in any given task. Very common definition. The sense that in order to be a leader, I have to have people working for me, I have to supervise people, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to give you a different way of thinking about leadership, a different definition. And this is the definition we use at API Group. Purposeful behavior that positively influences the success of yourself and others. This is not a definition that we made up. If you go to the dictionary and look under the definition of leadership, you'd find there's probably hundreds of definitions. This is a very common definition. Purposeful behavior that positively influences the success of yourself and others. We're going to break this down here in a minute, but the key word in this definition is influence. Influence. It's not about telling people what to do. It's not about directing. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about influencing yourself and others. So let's break this down. Purposeful behavior. What is purposeful behavior? What does it mean to be purposeful? Intentional. Anybody else?
Have a goal or objective.
Have a goal or objective. Have a plan. I'm consciously deciding at every moment to behave in a certain way in order to get some outcome that I want. Fair enough? Okay. So, see if you agree with this statement. Every single time you interact with another person, you make either a positive or a negative impact. It's never neutral. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree? What do you guys think? You agree? Okay. Every time you interact with another person, the impact is either positive or negative. Do any of you know someone like this? You walk in on Monday morning, and you say, hey, how was your weekend? And this is what they do. Oh, it was exhausting. First, my car broke down. Then my TV didn't work and I couldn't watch the football game. Then it started raining and I had a roof leak. And oh man, it's terrible. Anybody know something like that? Yeah? We all do, right? What do you do after a while? You stop asking or you see me, just like run the other way. Does anyone know someone like this? You're not sure which version of them is going to show up every day. Because if they got stuck in traffic, or they had an argument with their spouse, or their team didn't win last night, their bad day is about to become your bad day. Anybody know someone like that? Yeah. So when we're purposeful about our behavior, now this is not easy to do. When we're purposeful about our behavior, we make the decision every day, every minute, that we are going to make a positive impact on other people. That's purposeful behavior. When we're not purposeful and we just kind of go with the flow, whatever the emotion of the day is, then we show up, we're not purposeful. If we're not purposeful, in our interaction with other people, are we more likely to make a negative impact or a positive impact? Negative, absolutely. That's right, because we're not thinking about my objective is to make a positive impact on Rich. I want to make a positive impact on Ted. I'm not thinking about that. Then I'm just kind of floating around, and my impact is likely to be negative. Okay? Purposeful behavior that positively influences, now this is interesting, the success of yourself and others. Why do you think the word yourself is in the definition of leadership? Why is it important to positively influence the success of yourself? Yes. What's your name?
Rick.
Rick.
Because if you have a negative view on any given day or time, you're going to have a negative effect on what you are going to either project or work on.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, go ahead.
And if you're not thinking about the success of yourself, you just end up being a martyr.
If you're not thinking about the success of yourself, you end up being a martyr. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
If you don't have it, you can't give it away.
If you don't have it, you can't give it away. Okay? I'm going to keep going back to you guys here. Right? Why do you think it's important to think about this purposeful behavior that influences my own success?
Well, I don't have a way to put it other than what my mother used to tell me in elementary school. If you don't like you, nobody else will.
Well, that was pretty smart. Yeah. So that's nice. So, whose behavior, and this is a bit of a rhetorical question, whose behavior do we have complete control over? Ourselves. Do we have control over anyone else's behavior? Parents in the room, you can attest, we do not have control over anyone else's behavior. Right? The only person that we can materially influence the behavior of is ourselves. And this is something that I think I've learned a lot about this over the last number of years. Your effectiveness as a leader will be predicated more than anything else on this concept of how you lead yourself. And sometimes when we think about leadership, we think, well, like we talked about before, well, I got a lot of people working for me, and I'm a supervisor, and all this kind of stuff, and that's what leadership is. But leadership starts with how well you lead yourself. And that's the opportunity that every one of you in this room have. Some of you are just starting out, you're just getting your education, you're just potentially even going to be entering the workforce for the first time. Others in the room have long careers, large spans of control. But at the end of the day, it's the same concept, which is my effectiveness in whatever I'm doing is going to be predicated primarily, well, it's going to be driven almost solely by my ability to lead myself. Have any of you ever worked with someone who is always late and totally disorganized? Anyone? Okay? You guys, you're my favorite table. You can probably tell that already. You raise your hand. How does it make you feel when you work with somebody like that?
Very annoyed and distracted.
Very annoyed and distracted. Anybody else? Frustrated. It's a bit of a pet peeve for me. It's like second only to cell phones is being late. I feel disrespected. You know, you're sitting there waiting for the person, and they just don't, they don't show up, or they're late all the time. So this concept of leading myself as sort of the foundation of my leadership effectiveness, and then my ability to positively influence the success of others. But I can't skip over that piece about leading myself. So now I'll ask the question again. And I'll ask it in a bit of a different way. How many of you in this room have an opportunity to do this on a daily basis? You have to raise your hand, right? So that, I know this is a bit of I'm kind of guiding the conversation, But by virtue of raising your hand just now, you all are saying that you are leaders right now, today, regardless of your station in life. Now, many of you may only be in a position right now where you're leading yourself. You're an individual contributor, you're a student, whatever that role might be. But that doesn't change the fact that you are a leader today, right now, and you have an opportunity to lead yourself more effectively, and in so doing, you'll create positive influence on other people. Fair enough? So, objective number one, see yourself differently. I am a leader today, right now. How are we doing? You guys, you buying into this, or is it like, not so sure? I want to meet your mom. All right, okay. So, really briefly, these are some of the things that we also talk about at API Group. And we just talked about this concept of everyone as a leader. We believe wholeheartedly that leadership is the single biggest differentiator between average and excellent. And I'm going to speak to the students primarily right now. You're studying a wide variety of topics. You'll go into the workforce. Many of you will work for companies that provide services, whatever they might be, that other companies can also provide. This is another thing that I've learned over the years, being in the construction business. The construction business is, at the end of the day, a lot of companies can build really good things. So what differentiates one company from another? Relationships. It's the people. The one thing that companies have that other companies can't copy is their people. Everything else, generally speaking, unless you're in some intellectual property-driven business, a lot of that stuff can be copied, but the people can't be copied. So we believe that leadership is the single biggest differentiator between average and excellent. And I would argue to the students of Dunwoody, your ability to effectively lead yourself, translation, how you show up every day, when you get into the workforce, that will be your differentiator. I'm not trying to diminish the importance of the education, the technical skills, that's all super important. But how you show up as an individual and how you lead yourself every day, that's going to be a significant differentiator for you. And it will either propel your career or it will hold it back. We think everyone should have an opportunity to develop as a leader. We also believe that every single person owns their own development, and this is very important. Everyone owns their own development. What do you think that means? What do you guys think that means? We each own our own development.
Control what's given to you to use to improve yourself.
Yep. Anybody else?
You get what you put into it.
Say that again?
You get what you put into
You
it.
get what you put into it?
You make opportunities.
You make opportunities to do something?
You're responsible for how you develop.
Yep, you're responsible for how you develop. Yes.
And grow.
And grow. Yep. If you're waiting for someone to grab you and develop you, you need to change your mindset. It is up to you to take the initiative and responsibility for your own development. So whatever station in life you're in, it's oftentimes easy to say, if only so-and-so would have done this, or if only so-and-so would have done that, or if only I would have gotten this opportunity, then I would be further along. It's very easy to put responsibility on others for your station in life, but really effective leaders are willing to say, it's my responsibility. Imperfections and all. It doesn't always go your way, but the mindset of saying, it's my responsibility, wherever I end up is my responsibility. And then this is the most important one. for us, and I'd encourage you to think about it in the same sense. Leaders develop leaders. So, by virtue of everyone in this room raising their hands, saying, I am a leader right now today, part of the responsibility that you're accepting is that you help develop other leaders. So you have this focus on others. And part of your legacy is, how did you positively influence others? How did you help develop other leaders? So we talk about that a lot, and that's just something, I guess, for you to think about. So how are we doing so far? Good? You guys are checking in with my favorite table? You okay? All right. So when we talk about leadership development, we think about it, depending on kind of where you are in your development, it all starts with leading yourself. And every single one of us in this room, myself included, have lots of opportunities to be more effective at leading ourselves. Then depending on our role, we might lead others. We have some folks that we're responsible for. And some of the folks in this room are probably leading businesses and teams. In fact, I know some are. But you don't graduate from one to the other. It's just a question of how many of these pillars are you working in. We're always working in the leading self pillar. We should always be focused on how we can lead ourselves more effectively. That will help us lead others and lead teams and businesses more effectively. But I'm going to focus on the leading self for the time being. So let's say, I'll talk to the Dunwoody students primarily right now. Let's say some of you are sitting there going, okay, I'm willing to consider myself a leader. I'm willing to think about this concept of leading myself and how I can be effective right now as a leader. Well, how do I do it? Like, what do I need to be good at to be effective at leading myself? It's sort of like sports. So I'm a basketball guy. If I said, I want to be a really great basketball player, how do I do it? What would you tell me to do?
Practice, practice, practice.
Practice, okay. But what should I practice? Okay. Let's just say I just want to be really good at basketball. Fundamentals. Okay. Skills. So we think about it the same way. If I want to be really good at leading myself, well, there's certain things that I need to be good at. Like, what should I focus my energy on? So we think about those in terms of what we call competencies. We can call them skills, we can call them fundamentals. But you need to be good at a lot of things to be good at leading yourself. But these are the things that we've identified are the most important. So this might feel a little bit academic. I guess we're in an academic institution, so that's okay. Understand your worldviews and preferences and their impact on your and others' success. Understand your worldviews and preferences and their impact on your and others' success. What do you think that means?
Know what you believe.
Know what you believe. What else?
Know your own biases.
Know your own biases. Why would it be important to understand that?
Self-awareness. It'll help you understand how something causes you to react a certain way.
How something causes you to react a certain way. Okay. Let's try this for just a second. I'm going to say a word, and I want you to say back to me the first thing that comes to mind. Okay? Ready? Politician. Old. Influencer. Come on. Liar. Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Good old boy.
Good old boy. Is that it? Distrust. I mean, so what you just shared were your biases or your worldview, your beliefs about politicians. Do you think that's going to have an impact on how you interact with politicians or what you say about them? Yeah, right. Not right or wrong, it just is. Understanding your worldviews and preferences is really about being self-aware. Why do you think it's important for me to be self-aware in order to effectively lead myself? Yes?
Navigating any situations, knowing where you are. You can't move forward unless you know where you are now.
You have to know where you are now if you're going to move forward. What else?
You can't correct your own behavior if you're not aware of it.
You can't correct your own behavior. You can't improve your own behavior if you're not aware of it. Yeah. So getting back to that example of the person who gets stuck in traffic in the morning or is chronically late and totally disorganized, right? And yet they keep repeating the behavior and it continues to annoy us. That's a person who's not self-aware enough to understand the impact of those behaviors. They just keep doing them. They don't understand the impact of them. So being self-aware. Demonstrate ownership of your own role and the team's objectives. What do you think it means to demonstrate ownership of your own role? Whatever your role is. What do you think? Have you ever worked with someone who does this? Something goes wrong, and you ask them, what happened? And they immediately say, he told me to do it. Anybody know somebody like that? Is that someone who owns their own role? Now that doesn't mean that you take responsibility for everything that happens. But what it means is you take responsibility for your role. Part of that, on the flip side, does anyone know someone who is constantly doing other people's work? And then says, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I have way too much to do, I'm constantly doing all this stuff. And then they run the victim. Have you ever, do you know something like that? So that's the same thing in the opposite manifestation, which is not knowing what my role is, so that I can say to Rich, you know what, Rich? And this is not about saying that's not my job. It's about saying, well, the responsibility of that really lies with you. So I'm going to help you, but I'm not going to take the responsibility away from you. So understanding your own role. And then the other piece of this is understanding the bigger picture. Like, why are we doing this? What's the long-term objective? Thinking in those terms. Effectively communicating in a way that positively influences success. How might someone? So we're gonna use our handouts right now. If you turn to this page in your handout, you're going to find at the top of the page it says effectively communicate in a way that positively influences success. You're going to have a bunch of lines underneath it. Find that page? Effectively communicate in a way that positively influences success. Probably on half a page. So here's what we're going to try. At your tables, I'd like you to take a couple of minutes and talk. One person can write this down. Effectively communicate in a way that positively influences success. How might someone behave who's really good at that? How might someone behave who's really effective at communicating in a way that positively influences success? Take a couple of minutes at your table and talk about that. How might someone, if someone was good at that and you watched them, how might you see them behave?
Someone doesn't run roughshod over everybody. It's willing to help draw people's opinions and thoughts out. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm providing an opportunity. Yeah. Kathy, that's the stupidest thing. Just kidding.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I think I would
do. Oh, do you? Yeah.
This is different than most of the others. You know, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another minute?
Well, and that's very true.
Okay, let's wrap it up. We'll bring it back. All right. If someone who's good at that, how might you see them behave if you watch them? What would you see them do?
Listen.
Listen. Say more about that.
Well, just understand who the other person is, where they're coming from. Be a good listener. Not thinking about something else, but just truly listening.
So I can't see your name from here. Pete. Pete said, listen, and then you give a little bit more. That's very good. Hopefully many of you came up with the same thing. We describe listening in this situation as active listening. Okay? So active listening. What do you think it means to actively listen? How do I engage? How do I show the other person that I'm listening to them? What? Can you say that again? I did that tongue in cheek, okay? Right? One of the ways that you show active listening is you put your phone down. You put your phone down. How else can I show active listening? Eye contact. This is not brain surgery. This is pretty simple stuff. Eye contact. What am I doing when I make eye contact with you? What am I saying? I'm fully engaged in whatever you're saying. Okay? What else? Body language. Okay? Fun fact. We receive communication in three ways primarily. Words, tone, and body language. That adds up to 100% of the impact. Make sense? What do you think each respective of those three, what do you think the percentage impact is? Like, what makes sort of what percentage of the impact is words? The words we hear.
20.
9. Okay? Tone, body language. Right? Basically split the difference. So 90% of what we hear is tone and body language. 10% is words. So you said it, body language, gestures. Something as simple as squaring up to someone. Like this over-the-shoulder listening thing, that's not really a strong leadership behavior. We all can just turn and face the person. It's not that hard, right? Maybe you find yourself when you're sitting at your desk now and talking to folks that are kind of working in office environments. You're sending an email and someone walks in and you just turn like that. Spin your chair around, face it. It makes a big difference. Okay? All right. What else? Effectively communicate in a way that positively influences success. What else?
Being positive. Being someone that you're not always down on the world.
Not always down on the world. Kind of the energy that you bring into the conversation. Yeah, absolutely. What else?
Along with that, showing gratitude for your fellow coworkers and teammates.
Yeah, yeah. So communicating gratitude, saying thank you, those types of things. Yep. Yes. Repeat back what you thought you heard. A really good one. A really good one. You want to eliminate misunderstanding, rework. Ask the person, we could have a whole session on this. Ask the person to restate. You know, how many times have you had a conversation with someone and you say, "You got it?" What do they always say? Yeah, I got it. Why do they say that? Well, I don't want you to think they're stupid or something, right? I got it, yeah. And then they go off and do it, and then you come back and you're like, "That's not what I told you to do." Okay, well, maybe you're better at it than most. Okay. It happens all the time. So, okay, what's your name? Kyle. Kyle. Before we break up, I want to make sure that you clearly understand our objective here. So I'm asking you, what did you think you heard, or what do you believe the objective is as we break up this conversation? And he's going to repeat back to me, and I'm going to find out right away if we're on the same page. Takes a little more time, but it will lead to significantly fewer misunderstandings. 100%. Great, that's a great one. Okay, what else? I heard one at the front table here, I was not eavesdropping. Go ahead and then we'll come back here.
Not afraid to have difficult conversations.
Oh, not afraid to have difficult conversations.
You just gloss over everything in your interactions.
So, communicate in a way that positively influences success. How many of you hesitate to provide difficult feedback to others? I do. Am I the only one that hasn't? I mean, we all do, right? Why do we do that? Don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm afraid of their reaction. You know, might end up in the doghouse, all that kind of stuff, right? So, this having difficult conversations. Like this is another really good one. I'd like you to think about it like this. If you have feedback for someone, then it might be difficult. It might, obviously it's easy to give positive, or easier to give positive feedback. Think about it like this. Whatever that feedback is going to help that other person be more effective. And that's a gift that is for them, and it's not your gift to withhold it. You have a responsibility to give them that gift. I'll try to answer what I believe you're asking. And if I didn't, then we can talk some more about it. The question was, Minnesota nice. You have a difficult topic. How do you decide to direct in that situation? And it really raises another behavior. I think that's very important if you're going to effectively communicate in a way that positively influences success. You have to speak up. You have to say what you think. It doesn't do any good for me to sit in a group conversation and not say what I think, and then go over to the water cooler and then say what I think. It's no good. And it happens all the time. It's called triangulation. Rich does something that makes me mad, or that I feel like I think we should do something, we should do it in a different way, and I don't say anything to him, but instead I go over to Mike and Brian and I tell them that Rich's idea is bad. Happens all the time. That is not, I would never do that, but that's not positive, that's not communicating in an effective way. So we talk about this concept of courage. If you're going to be an effective communicator, you have to have courage. You have to have courage to give difficult feedback, and you also have to have courage to speak up and say what you think. People who are just silent and they don't say anything, that's not effective because they might have great ideas. And conversely, if you're in a conversation, part of the way that you facilitate that is you have to be aware enough to understand that certain people might not be as prone to speaking up, and how do you make sure that they get an opportunity to do that in a safe place? So the point, so we just talked about one of these. And the last one is own your personal and career development. We've already talked about that concept of taking that initiative to own your development. Hopefully what you've seen in going a little deeper into this communication competency is the things that we just talked about. They're not like revolutionary concepts, but they all require us to be purposeful. Like if I'm going to square up and I'm going to actively listen and I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to speak up and I'm going to be concise. If you think about that, that all requires us to be purposeful. But those are not revolutionary concepts. And I can tell you from experience, if you start doing those things on a more regular basis, you're gonna have better results, and you're gonna start positively influencing others, and you're gonna set an example that others are gonna want to follow. Every one of these, self-awareness, understanding ownership of your own role in the team's objectives, and owning your personal and career development, there are behaviors associated with each one of those that you can also start practicing. So I have a list of those. I didn't put them in your handout because I wanted us to have this opportunity to do this table conversation. Like, I don't know if you're like super interested in this stuff, but I will give that. In fact, Sherry has that. Can we put that out on some shared drive of some sort? So if you're interested in learning more about these behaviors that you can start practicing to be more effective at leading yourself, there'll be a resource there for you. And you'll see a lot of the ones you came up with, you'll see on our list under communication. So you guys are right on track. I mean, you know what it is. Just a question of whether you want to do it or not. So I'm going to wrap up. I had 2 objectives today. One was each one of you walk out of here seeing yourself maybe a little differently, understanding that you are a leader today, right now, regardless of your station in life, role, where you are a leader. You have to make the decision to embrace that responsibility. Second thing is to give you some things to think about that you can focus on a daily basis, very practical stuff that'll make you a more effective leader. Did we get to both? Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.